So today I wanted to take some time to talk about what is next for Stellaris, or at least what I perceive is going to be next for Stellaris. Obviously, over the last 2.5 years now, we've had multiple expansions, of course, starting out with serious things like Synthetic Dawn, then we, of course, had Utopia, first, of course, Leviathans, things like Apocalypse and Megacorp, and as well as a bunch of story packs to hold us over. Now, the developers have already said that the next part of the game that they want to flesh out is going to be the diplomacy in the game, and something along the line of a Federation-style expansion where you can, for instance, federate into a singular entity, that, and etc., etc. However, I personally don't think that is going to be the next expansion. Instead, I think they're going to be continuing the pattern that we've seen so far, where a major expansion is in fact followed by a story pack or a species pack or something along those lines. Now, I think that will also ring true in this particular scenario, and I will bring up why exactly. The Megacorp reception was, I think one could say, was slightly mixed. There were some performance issues that are currently being ironed out in the 2.2.4 patch, and quite a lot of stuff is being fleshed out in that regard. But overall, I think everything seems to be coming together quite nicely. The thing, however, is, considering the pattern so far, I would not be surprised if we are going to see a storyline pack in the same style of Distant Stars, or something along the lines of Humanoids next. Something along the lines of maybe a Silicates pack or something along those lines. Now, why do I think that diplomacy is objectively not the next step for the development of the game? Stellaris is an incredibly ambitious project. I think that we can say the same thing about every single Paradox Development Studio game. There is not many studios that have such products that I think they refer to them as a live production, where constantly stuff is being added to the game, and that's something we're seeing in EU4 and Crusader Kings as well. However, I think we're in Stellaris' life cycle right now. I think we're kind of getting at the point where a expansion that fleshes out current mechanics in the game is going to be necessary. In Crusader Kings, we had such things as the Way of Life, which significantly expanded upon the basic features of the game. It was a lot of character development, a lot of storyline, and that sort of thing. In Europa Universalis 4, we had, I think, Common Sense, which was a expansion which obviously focused on quite a lot of quality of life things as well. And Stellaris by itself, I think it's very important right now for the game, and of course this is just my opinion, I'm not a game designer or a game developer, that the current systems need to be fleshed out a little bit more before the next big step, which is obviously diplomacy, can be undertaken. The diplomacy system by itself is incredibly complex, and at least what you would want from it right now is actually relatively shallow, and the game mechanics needed for it can be they need time to be developed. So what do I expect then? Well, I expect a expansion, and as well as a patch, which significantly fleshes out things like edicts, civics, more things that personalizes empires, more ascension perks, very things to fleshing it out in general. Maybe technology focusing, giving you particular focuses. For instance, a one planet challenge style gameplay, fleshing that out. More fleshing out for barbaric despoilers. Sure, Megacorp did flesh out the whole slavery thing quite significantly, but still, I think there's still quite a lot to do there. Warfare can maybe be polished a little bit, and also things like trying to get some bugs out of the way that have been in the game for quite some time. Things like more optimization for the engine, etc. So what would the entire team do in this particular case? Well, what I'm going to guess is what's going to happen is that the core development team is going to be working on optimizing the game, not so much in terms of engine, but in terms of gameplay. Making things more interesting. For instance, in the outliner right now, I have 14 planets, but as you can see, I got the L cluster over here, and there is a ton more planets I'm about to colonize. And managing all of this stuff obviously takes quite a lot of time, and personally I think the sector system in particular is not working very well. There's a bunch of other bugbears as well, such as on your expansion planner, the ability of doing terraforming straight from here. A lot of clicks can be removed from the game. Some graphical stuff. There's quite a lot of mods out there, for instance, that I would love to see integrated in some shape or form. I believe it was in Apocalypse or slightly before that, they introduced the concept of galactic terrain, where certain systems had modifiers. And if we look, for instance, right now to some of our systems here, so let's take a look here now. Let's say there's a pulsar in a system like over here, I think, yeah. So we got shield nullification times 100%. More of that stuff I think we can expect. Let's take a quick look, for instance, at what a real space game looks like as well. Let's go to our Tallest Boys save game here. There is quite a lot of stuff that I feel can be done in order to make the game quite a lot prettier, but also easier to pick up. And I think that there's quite a large market still available for people who want to play Stellaris, but don't want to get into it just yet because of the complexities that are involved. That I don't think this one actually has real space on it. But stuff like real space or gullies, planetary modifiers, which gives so much flavor to the game, I think is going to be necessary to add to the base game, at least in some way, shape, or form. For some reason, I don't know why. Why are we not running real space here? It could be that it's just broken because of what I've been doing because I'm running on 2.2.3 and real space may not be updated for it just yet, but we can take a look. I'll put some B-roll in the background, but you get the general idea. More visually interesting things to see in space. Right now, we're spending quite a lot of time on the big map. I'd rather go into a system and be amazed by how something looks. So the thing about Stellaris when I first picked it up is the feeling of wonder. What is in the next system over? The system that I can't see right now. What is over there? What is it going to look like? Etc. And that's something that I really wish comes back. And on top of that, something that happened in Distant Stars, for instance, is quite a lot of new events were added. And that's something that I would also like to see. More events. More events makes the game just so wonderful. But also some things like planetary interaction. For instance, I'm running the more political actions mod as well. And every once in a while an event pops up saying, hey, do you want to allow X, Y, Z? Do we want to have this company get a patent on something? Do we want interracial marriage? Obviously, we have Xeno compatibility already, but more events that pop up. A ruler has gotten really popular on a planet and wants to become a prince of that world. There is so much to be done here, and I've spoken in the past quite a lot about the canvas of sci-fi, and I think we're at the point where the mechanics of the game have been fleshed out so well. Where we've got Apocalypse, we've got Barbarian Despoilers, we got mega corporations, and many, many more things. Iterate on those. I gladly would pay $20 for a pure event pack that makes the galaxy look like this. It's beautiful, and I think well, sure, there is an argument to be made about putting the words of modders into the mouth of developers, and of course they have millions of ideas of what to do with the game. But this is basically where I think the game is going to go, with an expansion which is going to be focused on portraits, ship designs, galaxy-related items, maybe something at the core of the galaxy, who knows? And then maybe sometime at the end of the year in Q3, Q4, an announcement for the Diplomacy expansion. The team itself is now being led by Daniel Moragord, who I know fairly well, and he is a great guy, and I think that he and his team are more than capable to bring us something wonderful in the future. And Stellaris is not dead by far. Development for this game is going to continue for years. But right now, I feel the team could take a step back, look at the timeline, look at the roadmap, polish things out a little bit, add a metric ton of flavor, and then it's time for Diplomacy. I'm going to go wrap this up here. This has been more something from the heart, and like I said, I really have a lot of faith in this Stellaris team. They are a bunch of wonderful people that get a lot of hate thrown at them that they definitely do not deserve. But yeah, I have faith. And I really hope that this game is going to grow into something that started off amazing, but it's going to turn into something wonderful. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for listening to me ramble about a game I adore. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, have a comment below. I love to know what you're thinking. Ta-ta.